Hi there, welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. I'm IceMan and today we are going to be doing a champion guide on the one, the only, the extremely shiny Royal Huntsman. So, Royal Huntsman, he's a Spirit Affinity champion, legendary attack based champion with the High Elves. He's one of my favourite skins in the game. I seem to say that a lot lately, but we all know they do absolutely amazing work with their artwork, but this guy just really looks exactly how you'd sort of picture a high elf, to be honest, with the shining armour and the sweeping headpieces and the long hair and everything, and the pointy ears, obviously, since he is an elf will have the pointy ears, you know. But yeah, he's not to be confused with this pointy-eared chap over here.
Fascinating.
He is not a high elf, he is a falcon. But anyway, I digress. So his A1 confident shot attacks one enemy, places a 50% increased attack buff on this champion for 2 turns if the attack is critical. Now obviously you build him up for as high crit as you can. Then we've got his, this can be booked up 3 times, which is nice. It only takes 3 books, but I haven't booked him up. I will be, quite frankly, very honest right at the outset. This is not a champion I use a hell of a lot, and I'll explain why later. I'm not saying you shouldn't use him, I'm just saying for the roster of champions I've got, I don't use him. I used to. I used to when I pulled him earlier on in the game, and before I pulled other champions that I've since replaced him with. But these days, other than say Faction Wars, or if I'm doing High Elves in the Doom Tower, I don't use this guy at all. He's not even in my 3v3, but that's more based on the champions I have and how I like to use them in Arena than it is necessarily a view of his skills. Is A2 attacks all enemies, places a 60% decreased defense debuff on the target for 2 turns if the attack is critical. Again, this can be booked down from a 4 turn to a 3 turn cooldown, which is pretty cool. I did spend some books on him at some point, I just never quite finished him off, as you can see, so I've spent 3 here and I'm shy 1 on that one. But again, it's pretty cool so far. You'll notice compared to some of the other champs we've got, 3 books here, 4 books here, so that's 7 in total at the moment. And 3 books here, so only 10 books to fully book him out, and that's pretty cool, I have to say. And at some stage I may actually finish off booking him, because you know, he's not a bad champ, although having said that, for me, because I don't use him enough, I don't know that it's worth it. If you don't have champions that you're using in place of him and you are using them a lot, he's definitely worth the books. The books will help him. I don't think they're absolutely essential, but they will help. So then we've got his A3, dead aim, attacks one enemy, will ignore defense by 100%. This is massive. This is a pure damage hit. It can be booked up by another 25% of damage. Again, quite big really. How many books are we shy? 1, 2, 3, 4 in total. You know what? I don't want to get it on the A1 particularly, but I think we're going to do that and we'll see what we get. Okay, so let's check it out. Damn it, didn't get it where I wanted it, so I will be spending that extra book. I was actually hoping to avoid the extra one in the A1, but there you go. Live for the video, we've fully booked him out, so you'll get a better idea of what he's like fully booked. I wouldn't necessarily advise going that route. Like I say, it depends on who you've got, how often you get legendary champions. If you're a whale who's pulling shards all the time, you'll probably upgrade past him and start using other champs quite early on. If you're using let's go back to here. If on the other hand you're a free-to-play player, or nearly a free-to-play player, who doesn't get legendaries all that often, he's more than worth booking out, and he is a good champ, as we've just said. So back to this, full 100% defense mitigation there. Ignores all of the target's defense. It's on a 5-turn cooldown, and it's an extra 25% damage. He's got an aura that increases spirit ally attack in all battles by 38%. Now this is actually a really big increase. It's just a shame it's spirit only, and I really hate when they put those in. I mean, he doesn't need a huge buff. He's a decent champion, but one buff he could do with is taking out that clarification and just saying increases all ally attack in all battles. He's not so broken in other areas of the game, or that highly used, that giving him that one of the highest, if not the highest attack aura in the game wouldn't harm him. It wouldn't make him broken. It wouldn't suddenly make him too OP. It'd just make him more usable and more likely to be used, quite frankly. Now I've not. We'll go on to the stats then. So total stats, I'm not worried about accuracy with him. I'm likely to pair him with a decreased defense champion, and if I don't, then he's going to be ignoring defense on his A3 anyway, which is his big one. So you don't really need the decreased defense at that point. If I'm using him in dungeons, then I will be pairing him with a decreased defense. If I'm using him in arena, I may or may not, depending on the team I use him with. But to be fair, in arena, because of his main ability, it's not so much needed. Crit damage 244. It's not massive. It's not right up there. You know, we see many a content creator with upwards of nearly 300 crit damage. I would like this to be a little bit higher for obvious reasons, due to a couple of his abilities there. But again, I'm not looking at placing the decreased defense, so I'm not too worried about that one. 96 is as close as I could get it without sacrificing quite a bit more crit damage, so it's the way I've gone. 172 speed, it's solid, it's not slow, it's not fast, it's just a good, okay one as your follow-up nuker in the arena. Defense 1742, attack is 3800, nearly 4k, so that's not bad. Health is a bit low at 2600, nearly 2700. So let's take a look at his gear. Now you will notice I have got what, 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces here not fully rolled up. Quite frankly, this, because as I said, I'm not using him, so he had some gear, not a lot, and it wasn't fully optimized, so I've pulled together gear from other champions, and quite frankly I don't have the serial to roll it up. As it was, just equipping it bankrupt me. Obviously we've just done the event. If you're watching this around the time I'm posting it, we just had an event for upgrading artifacts, so my silver reserve was absolutely minimal. I've purposely left a couple of these pieces low anyway, because, and found pieces that were low. I could have gone for a different ring. 6-star, yes I know, I'm not happy about that, but it's one of the reasons it's at 12. I did have a 6-star rolled up to 16 ring that I could have used for him, which would have given him slightly better stats, obviously, and it was an epic, so again, definitely better stats. But you know, I wanted to sort of showcase him more attainable, more middle of the pack where you'd expect to be, mid to going on to end game, and this is sort of the way we got it. So obviously his crit damage could be higher if I rolled this up to max. Again, his attack could be higher if I rolled this up to max, or swapped it out for the one I had rolled up to max, but I don't want to do that. He's in 3 pieces of 6-star, which is more than I would normally have him in, but I wanted to sort of show him at his best but not broken, so hence why these 6-star pieces, they are 6-star, but they're all blue and they're not rolled up to max, to mitigate for the fact that they are 6-star, which keeps them sort of on par with being 5-star anyway. So that's the gear, the masteries. Now I would maybe, well no, to be fair there's no point, because again that's an ignore defense, his main move does it anyway. So with him I've gone for more of an arena build, so you've got crit rate, crit damage, More damage at full health, increases speed for enemies killed, increases damage on a first hit. A chance to reset the cooldown of a random skill by one turn if damage exceeds 30% of the target's max HP, which with him there's a possibility of. Stoke the Fury increases damage inflicted by 4% for each debuff on this champion, stacks up to 12%. He's being used in the arena, he will be taking debuffs. And then Flawless Execution for an extra 20% crit damage. We've gone for his other build, is accuracy into accuracy into more accuracy. To be fair, I would maybe build that differently these days, but I'm not going to mess around resetting him and changing him up just for the video. So, and you know, more accuracy means he's got a chance of landing that decreased defense, which still can help. So I'm not going to mess on with that. And to be fair, the only thing I would give him would be sort of increased defense or damage mitigation and stuff from the defense tree, and maybe a little extra damage from a possible counter attack with retribution. But that's maybe how I'd go with him. It depends, because like I say, it depends what you're using him for and where you're going to use him. So here obviously it's all about speeding him up. We've got decreased turn meter because he's being used in the arena. He does do a debuff, so we've increased that. Sniper increases his chance to land the other buffs and whatever it is he does. I'm not so sure that that actually applies to him, to be honest, but like I say, I got him early on. What's he got? Attacks all in many places. Yeah, it's just if it's critical. So to be fair, Sniper is a complete waste of time on him. I would not go that route if I were you. And that increases your attack. Yeah, so I thought that was a mistake there. But as I say, I pulled him early on when I first joined the game, and I didn't understand it as well as I do now. And yeah, Sniper is not one I would put on him. Quite frankly, you'd be better off either taking, well, maybe the shield, maybe this one, the kill streak, the one with dead allies in the arena. Although to be fair, 9 times out of 10 he's going to be the one dying first anyway, because he's got weak health, weak defense. So realistically, what you take for that spot is not going to make much difference at all. And that's his masteries that I've gone for, but as I say, they're not absolutely brilliant. The damage ones are pretty solid, and they're the main ones on him anyway. Of course, because I've done that. So we're going to take him into some content, and I think we will start with a dungeon. Now he's Spirit Affinity. So I believe he might be the wrong affinity here, yep. But he actually does okay here, I believe. Okay, so we're going to take him into Dragon 20 first. Now obviously he's weak affinity here, and that's not ideal, but you'll see he actually still does a fair amount of damage, and he still does some real work here. Now we do have Duke or Duck or whatever he's called again. I still hate that name. It's like, yeah, it kind of looks like a duck with weird sharp pointy teeth.
Blood. I need blood. I must have blood. My fangs tingle to be biting.
But anyway, so whatever you want to call him, he's in there for our decreased defense. Brilliant new champ to the game. If you want to have a look at him, you can check out my guide, which is over there actually, not over there, because I'm pointing in the wrong direction initially. So yeah, check that out. It's a cool guide. He's a very cool champion, very good looking champion. Not to say that he's good looking, but you know what I mean. So anyway, it's not like, I mean, gross with pointy ears and sharp teeth and metal stitched all through their bodies. I mean, I'm not a masochist or anything, you know. But yeah, obviously this is a very legendary heavy team. I know that, but you know, I'm showcasing what he can do, and you'll see what he can do. And we're going to slow things. Oh, I wish I'd done that a little bit earlier. So obviously Xavier comes in with big hit. What's this? Oh, he got a weak hit there, so he didn't do much, which is a bit of a shame. See how fast we're still moving at 1 time speed. So here we go for his AoE. 38k there on one of them. Okay, so here we go. Have a look at this. Obviously Xavier did the lion's share of the damage here, coming in at 2.5 million. Fushan, he's not built to be a massive heavy hitting damage dealer, but he does okay. Again, he is actually strong affinity here, and he did 500,000. Royal Huntsman, who's weak affinity here, still did around the same as what Fushan did, and that's when he's weak affinity. So he's not completely useless here, but it's not advisable. If you have somebody better for the role, who does better damage, who's a better affinity, use them. If not, you can bring him here, but you need to have some good support around him, because otherwise he's going to die. And you've got to bear in mind that your runs are going to be a bit slower, because he is going to get weak hits. He's not going to do as much damage, and unfortunately that's the way with that one. Where he is optimal and the right affinity is the Ice Golem's Peak. Now this one, we're just going to show you the run through on the mobs, and you can see, oh, I wanted to show you what he was going to do there, but got in too slow again. See there, 30k hits all across the board on everybody, because he's not weak affinity this time. He's actually not strong affinity, he's just even. 36k on his A1, which is not bad considering he's not maxed out in endgame gear or any of that, or 6-star pieces across the board. There we go for the slaughter volley. 60, 62 on his A2 there, and obviously on his A3 he hits a hell of a lot harder. That's usually sort of close to 100k. There you go, 153k on that one, and that's when he's not maxed out. That's when he's not totally in 6-star gear and all the rest of it. Okay, so here we are at the end. Not much longer than when I was talking, to be fair, but you know, my average time on this is usually 2 minutes 30 to 3 minutes, I'd say. So 3 minutes 45, a bit slower with him in, to be fair. And I've been messing around with teams lately, showing off other champs and stuff, so I've kind of messed up my own teams as it is a little bit, unfortunately. So I need to sort of re-optimise and find the best team again to use. That's the problem with doing these guide videos, I have to say. So anyway, now we're going to take a look at the damage. So Xavier did less damage here than she did in Dragon, but then she's weak affinity here, and so you know, she's lost about 500,000 of damage. Cell of the Drakes, who does some fairly decent damage, as you all know, she's done about 500,000. Duck, the Pierced, I'm kind of picturing a duck pierced through with an arrow now, but you know. He's coming in at 335, but again, he's not built for damage. Obviously Warlord is purely here for support, came in at the lowest. But look at Royal Huntsman, where he's neutral affinity as opposed to weak affinity, he's come in at 1.5 million, not much lower than Xavier. So you can see it's night and day bringing him into a dungeon where he's neutral as opposed to weak. And now if there was a dungeon that he would be strong in and useful because he had multi-hitters on his A1 or whatever, then, you know, it's like if his A2 was a bit more like Lures, where it's not just an AoE but a multi-hit AoE, and the same with his A1, then he would absolutely kill for the Fire Knight and he'd be really brilliant for it, even without turn meter drop, because at least he'd be able to help get that shield down and he'd do a lot of damage. But as it is, he's not suited for there, and unfortunately that's just the truth of the matter with him. I wouldn't personally use him in Spider. He's too squishy, he doesn't really bring anything to the fight. You know, he's the right affinity and he'll do some damage for you, but, and I suppose if you actually need a decreased defense champion, and you haven't got anybody else but you've got him, again you can use him in the spider for that. And if you're using an off affinity tank, he's not going to be getting attacked anyway, so the fact that he's a bit sort of squishy won't really matter. So you can certainly use him as your decrease defense champ there, but if you need one and you don't have anybody else. But other than that, he doesn't really bring much to that fight, to be fair. He'll do some damage to the spider, some reasonable numbers but not huge numbers. If you're going to go that route, rather than going for flawless execution as I have, and you're wanting to use him more for dungeon bosses, you definitely want to look at putting War Master on him, because obviously he'll get more out of it from that. Again, if you're going to use him in clan boss, same thing. Again, you definitely want to be putting him on War Master. It's not an area I've ever tried him, to be honest, so I'm not going to go there. Now we're going to show you him in the arena, which is the other place I think he's very viable for. Obviously, as I say, he is viable in Doom Tower, I feel. What we got here? Okay, a bit stronger than us, similar sort of team. So we'll take out our nuker and we will put him in. And they're actually mostly all neutral affinity to him, so that works out nicely. And we'll show you what we get. So we start off with Hedgie, obviously. We get our speed boost out of Arbiter. Because of our Warlord shields, he's still doing alright. We're going to take their cooldowns down. And we're going to take out Arbiter. 133k. Now obviously we've seen people do guys like him and hit for 300k. Or 200k plus. But again, that's in 6-star maxed out gear. This is him in the equivalent, at least, of 5-star gear across the board pretty much, and he's still doing very solid damage, as you can see. Well, maybe should have gone for Valk, actually, try and get her turn meter down. Get those Warlord shields up just in time, probably. I'll go for Nephril. So you're bringing him in here with somebody like Warlord, who is in a HP set anyway, so he starts off with a nice big shield, then puts out some nice big shields and block debuffs as well. Really is helpful because he is a bit squishy, as I said, but this allows him to survive more than one turn. Get that speed boost up again, get him going. So here we go with his A2, see what he can do. 30 odd K, 16k. Again, somebody who's really defensive. Now, for what he was used there for sniping the Reviver and just taking him out of the game, absolutely amazing. If you've got him in higher maxed out gear, or you're even putting him in Savage gear. Now I know Savage gear many people would consider to be redundant because of his A3, and yes, on his A3 it is, but his A1 and his A2 are both normal hits. So if you've got him in Savage gear, you're then going to mitigate defense there. So Savage gear is actually a good way to go for him if you're going to use him in the arena. And then if you've got him built right, you can come out with your A3 instead of your A1 and try and see how many you can nuke down in one go. This is a very, very defensive team. Everybody here is a defensive champ, and he's actually weak affinity to 2 of them. But we'll see what he can do here. Get that speed boost up. We'll decrease their cooldowns. Right, we're going to try with his A2 first and see what we do with that. Okay, so you saw there's some good solid hits, some good solid damage. Look at how low they are now. Didn't kill anyone, and if he was built a bit higher, or if he was in Savage gear, he probably would have done. But obviously I've not built him that way. I've built him for the understanding that you're using his A3 to nuke down a single target. Cool, 102. You're out of there. So, there you go. Some of the Drakes, nice, hefty defense character. Defense base, going to have a high defense. Most people build it to be quite survivable. And you saw from the other hits that she was the one taking the least damage. But that A3 with ignoring defense, just straight through, does a massive nuke on her and just takes her out of the game. And again, that's two people with the wrong affinity. I mean, the problem you've got with him in the arena is he can come in more situational. I mean, if you're running people that are mixed teams anyway, you kind of like... He's going to be strong here against Drexler, obviously. Same here with Razin, and he's going to be okay against the neutral affinity either way, the Voids. But a lot of people like to run Magic Champions. There you go, another team with 2 Magic Champions, 2 Magic Champions, 2 Magic Champions, 2 Magic Champions, 2 Magic Champions. Magic is unfortunately very high in the arena. Not always. More and more people are moving off as new character champions are introduced to the game stuff. I myself run Abyss as my normal nuker, so she's actually really strong against champs like this, because obviously she's going to be strong affinity and neutral to Drexar, so she'd be brilliant for this. But we'll try this team anyway. They're a little bit weaker than us, but then we're also weak affinity, so we'll just show. This video is running on a bit long, so I'm going to make this the last one. But you can see the sort of utility he can bring to the arena. Let's try the tankiest person there, shall we? Actually, I want to show you what he can do to the person who he's strong against. 134k, and he completely takes him out. Now, most Drexars I come across are really defensive, really tanky, and they take a lot to take down. And he just sat him down, no issue. It's a shame we haven't got our A3 up to use on Tormund, which I would like to see what that does. But again, there you go, good solid hit on Tormund. Took away nearly half his health with his A2. There we go. So, as you can see, he is a really good champ. And if he was Magic Affinity, I'd use him so much more than I do, quite frankly. Or if he was Force Affinity. So you could really use him against all those Magic champions in the arena. That's one area where I think they went wrong with him. And it's probably the main reason I don't use him all that much. And actually, if he was, as I say, Magic or Force, he would have been used for a lot longer as my arena nuker. I'd still prefer Abyss. She's got 2 massive AoE hits. She can really sit down tanks and ignore defense and all the rest of it, and put up decreased defense just the same as he does. They're actually very similar champions in that respect. But... And, you know, since I've pulled her, even if he was Force, I'd probably still be using her now that I've got her. But that's not to say he's a bad champ. It's just to say that if you've got somebody else out there that does similar stuff, he might not be the best one out there. And that's the thing, you know, he's a great champ. He's going to do some real work for you in certain places. And he can clear waves with the best of them. He really can. And again, he can nuke in the arena if you're right up against the right affinity. So again, that's the thing, you know, if you're looking at teams and you suddenly go, right, they've got lots of spirit champs, or they've got a load of force champs, bring him in and he will sit them down. He will absolutely take them out. Just snipe them. He can AoE them out. If you put him in Savage set, he's going to do even better with his A2. So, you know, his A2 will be twice as destructive, and he'll just knock them out, take them out of the game all day long. But it's situational where you'd use him. But to be fair, that's true for most champs. I mean, I'll use Abyss against any team she's strong enough to be fair. I don't tend to swap out. But having seen what he can do again, I'd actually be tempted if I'm against Spirit to actually bring him in instead of her, and use it that way, and just swap them out on an affinity basis. Obviously, when you've got slightly mixed teams and stuff, it's a different matter. But Is he a top tier champ, one of the S tier champs in the game? I personally don't think so. He's a good, solid legendary. He's good at what he does. If you need a decreased defense champion, he can do it, and he doesn't need accuracy for it, I don't think, with him, because he automatically just places it if he gets a crit. I'm currently using an accuracy banner because I didn't have any rolled up attack banners. It was actually the best, the banner with the most attack and whatnot I had on it, and speed and everything else. But he does not need any accuracy at all, because he places it based on it being critical. So you build him for 100% crit, and he'll put that out there for you. So he's absolutely brilliant for that as a decreased defense champion against the right affinities, I'm going to stress. Obviously, you saw how badly he can do in the dragon. When he's weak affinity, he's going to get weak hits. He's not going to be placing it so much there, so he's not ideal then. Which is why Madame Ceres is actually one of my favourite decreased defense champions, because you don't have to go, oh, she's the right or wrong affinity for this, because she's void. She's just neutral everywhere, so you don't have to worry about it. You can just bring her in against any team, any time, and she's going to do the decreased defense. Him, on the other hand, you have to think about who you're against. As long as you're against Spirit or Force, you're good to go. And he is a really solid champion. Not the best in the game, certainly not the worst in the game, but in the right situations, he's going to do so much work for you. Anyway, I hope you've really enjoyed this video. Sorry it dragged out a little bit in the end, and I'll catch you in the next one. If you like the content, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Bye.